Hello Constellation, welcome to Starchaeology Tarot, home to tarot readings for anyone ready to dig deep and break inner ground. I am Desi, I will be your Starchaeologist, aka tarot reader. I'm so happy you're here. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank you for being an intentional member of the Star Cluster here at Starchaeology Tarot. I'm so grateful for you, and if you're hoping to receive blessings, please start by giving a blessing. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel right now. I always say, give the abundance you wish to receive. Now let's begin. Today we're going to be doing a pick-a-pile reading themed around the star. The star is my favorite card in tarot, which might be obvious from the name of this channel. I love the star because it is the link between deep healing, hope, and the fulfillment of our dreams coming true. Each of those things are intricately connected. And today what I want to look at is your dream. I want to examine your dream up close. I want to see where you are in relationship to your dream now. What obstacles are standing between you and your dream, and what advice, what guidance from your higher power is waiting for you to be integrated, to be followed. So with that, please take a look at these piles. This is pile number 1, deck number 1, deck number 2, deck number 3, and deck number 4. See which pile calls to you. It could be one or multiple. You could also listen to all the readings for all 4 piles and receive resonant messages from all of them. So let's just pause a moment and see which pile calls to you. Don't overthink it. Go with your first instinct. Now use the timestamps below to jump to the reading of your choice. Hello, pile number 1. You chose this beautiful deck designed by Dame Darcy of Mermaid Tarot. Yeah, this is a mermaid-filled deck. It's gorgeous. Welcome to your reading in which we examine your greatest dreams, hopes, wishes, the fulfillment of those dreams, hopes, and wishes, and the healing, the deep healing that is required to achieve them, and also that comes with achieving them. Calling in the guides of every member of the cluster here in pile 1, in deck number 1. Calling in the higher powers of those beautiful stars in our collective sky in pile 1. Oh, okay, pile 1. So pile 1, we have the 9 of Swords in reverse. So where you are right now in relationship to your greatest dreams, you're finding yourself somewhat trapped in anxiety and negative thinking. I think some of you who chose this deck are feeling somewhat negative about where you are right now in relationship to your dreams. If you don't feel like you're being negative, maybe that's something to examine. Maybe you think you're being logical when in fact you are knocking yourself a little bit. You're maybe depriving yourself of hope that you could afford to have when it comes to this pursuit of your dream. Also, those of you, it's also like I think a bit of a self-defense to say, oh, well, I'm just being logical, I'm just being rational, because that protects us from getting our hopes too high. We don't want to be responsible for how we're thinking, because it's very hard to be responsible for how we're thinking. It's very hard to tend to our thoughts the way one tends to a garden. but just know that you're the one who suffers. You're the one who suffers by not doing that, by not being more aware of your thoughts, and by not making an effort to try to curate your mental environment a little bit more. Others of you, if you're not feeling this could be reversed simply because you actually are in the process of reversing this kind of negative mindset. You're in the process of turning it on its head and getting out of it, undoing it. Maybe you have felt trapped. Maybe you have felt limited. You've felt like you've been in a hole when it comes to the pursuit of your dreams in either just now or even in the recent past, in recent times. Some of you, I think it's recent years that you have felt this way. And you're just now clawing your way out of that hole. You're just now starting to challenge the analysis paralysis you've been in, and the limited thinking and the anxiety and the cycle of negative thinking, which is wonderful. So let's get a, wow, King of Cups. For some of you, those of you who are pulling yourself out of this place, your biggest challenge is filtering your emotions through your brain, essentially. Balancing your air and your water, balancing, no, let's put it this way, looking at your feelings with a critical eye, the same way that here you're looking at your thoughts with a critical eye. Your feelings need that same kind of curation. That's not to say try to control what you feel. It's more about allowing yourself to feel whatever comes up, but not putting so much weight that every single feeling becomes your ruler. It's not your feelings that are in the driver's seat. Your feelings are valid. Your feelings are there for a reason. Oftentimes we misinterpret our feelings as being information that they are not. They are information, but much of the time they're information about past childhood wounds that we have, and our patterns that we need to end for ourselves. They're information about our past conditioning. They're information about everything that has brought us to this point in our lives, why we believe what we believe. That's where our feelings really, really can be helpful, useful information. Unfortunately, we often take our feelings as information, meaning like if we feel bad about something, it's because the thing is going to go badly. And it's just not that simple. It isn't that black and white. The King of Cups is able to look at his feelings, hold space for his feelings, and think about them incredibly intelligently. He uses his information, or he uses his feelings as a prime resource because he has high emotional intelligence. But he also knows their limit. He knows the limit that feelings have, the limit of the information that feelings provide for us. And he doesn't ever let his feelings run away with him. He's in the driver's seat. He's able to appropriately judge what his feelings are telling him, and to challenge feelings that come from a place of delusion, illusion, past conditioning, stories that are not actually appropriate for the present moment. This is your greatest obstacle in the achieving of your dreams, and perhaps in dealing with the anxiety that you face on that journey towards your dreams, pile one. Let's get another card. So what do we do about this? What do we do about this? What's the advice for pile one? Okay. Queen of Swords. Oh, oh my gosh, we have two here. This is our advice. So the Queen of Swords, and it's paired with the Nine of Pentacles. Let's get a few more cards too. Whoa, for the second row. Oh my gosh, pile one. Of course, the star comes out in this star reading. And then we have the Knight of Cups, King and the Knight of Cups. So the advice here, pile one, Queen of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. Oh, so that's beautiful. The advice here is to do what you can, put your efforts right now. More than worrying about what are the next steps you need to take to check off certain boxes as you get to your dreams, instead of focusing on logistics, instead of focusing on I guess like changing your outside conditions, instead of focusing on changing your outside conditions, look within yourself, because of course both of these cards very much have to do with what's going on inside of you. And logistically, you may be doing everything right, pile one. This is more a shift of your mindset and your heart set that needs to happen here. The advice is to groom this Queen of Swords part of yourself. Queen of Swords, more than any other character in tarot, is able to transmute past pain into wisdom. It's not that she doesn't feel the pain of the past. It's not that she's wooden or made of stone. She feels it all. She feels it all. But she very carefully chooses the words that she uses to think about what has happened to her and to speak about what has happened to her. And that's where swords come into play here. The stories that she tells about that past pain are not stories that limit her. They are stories that expand her. They are stories that make her more powerful. They are stories that affirm her title, that affirm her own authority in her life. That, paired with the Nine of Pentacles, that really drives that point home, because Nine of Pentacles, we see a woman who, in this case a mermaid, who is has found the treasure chest. She has found all the jewels. She's worked hard, though, to find this treasure chest, right? She has done so much to get to this place of achievement, of accomplishment, and it hasn't been easy. She's had to sacrifice things along the way. She's had to make hard decisions. It wasn't something that just fell in her hand. And I think that's where this shift in the narrative for you is crucial. There needs to be a shift in the narrative about how you talk about your sacrifices, how you talk about the work that you've put forth. Do you stand by your decisions in the past? Do you have your own back in the decisions that you've made and the decisions that you will make? Because that's such a big part of the Nine of Pentacles, is its success, its achievement, its accomplishment. But it comes because this woman has had her own back every step of the way. She has a certainty about her actions, which doesn't mean you have to know everything. It just means you have to trust yourself. It just means you have to trust the steps that you are in the process of taking, or the steps that you've already taken, because there's nothing you can do about them at this point. Living in a place of doubt, especially about past steps you've taken and steps that you are in the process of taking, is incredibly self-sabotaging. That's not to say if you feel like something's wrong, don't question it. Of course, stop yourself and question, challenge your decisions when you have the option to change them. But if you really check in with yourself and you're like, this is the best that I can do with what I have right now, and this is what I'm going to do, then you need to have your own back in that decision. And doing that is what allows you then to transmute that past pain into wisdom. It allows you to use past challenges to strengthen yourself in the present moment and to help expand your world as you move into the future, as opposed to limit it, as opposed to make it smaller, as opposed to make you so afraid of doing the wrong thing because of the past pain that you've experienced. The Queen of Swords has experienced it all. She has gone through it, but she still invites life towards her. She still tells life, come at me. You know, these tears are tears of recognition of the duality, of the beauty of life. And she understands that pain is a part of that beauty. She's not going to move through the rest of her life with this attitude of pain avoidance at all costs. I think it's this attitude that's needed in tweaking your navigation system as you move towards your goal, as you move towards wish fulfillment, towards making this dream of yours come true. And it makes sense too, because that kind of perfectionism of the shadow side of the Queen of Swords, of someone who is not able to transmute that past pain into wisdom. She's moving through life with a very perfectionist mindset. And of course, that would keep you trapped in a state of constant anxiety, a prison of anxiety, and perhaps an inability to analyze your feelings with a rational mind. I see this kind of like teeter-totter situation between your thoughts running away with you, and then on the other end, your feelings running away with you. And the biggest thing I want to tell to you is what I was going to say. Tell you, pile one, is that you are not your feelings and you are not your thoughts, and that you don't have to believe. No, let me rephrase it. You don't have to believe every thought that you have, and not all of your feelings are facts. In addition to that, amazing to see this Nine of Swords paired with the Star, paired with deep healing. It's as if saying that this anxiety is so wrapped up in your dream for you. It is so closely related to your dream. And that's really not the best energy to be putting out when it comes to achieving a dream, because achieving that dream, you want to feel light. You want to feel the way that you would be feeling, the way you imagine yourself to be feeling when you achieve that dream. Because that energy, that vibration will only attract circumstances that help create that vibration within you. But if you're saying, I want this, and then you're feeling awful about it, every time you think about that dream, you're feeling anxiety about it, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're creating obstacles for yourself. On the other side, the Star, meaning deep healing, just shows us that there needs to be healing here with this anxiety. And maybe because this is your present moment, this column, maybe for some of you, you actually are in the process of healing this anxiety. Good for you. That is incredible work that you're doing, and work that will reward you beyond what you can possibly imagine. The work that you put into healing the root of this anxiety, healing this overthinking, this mental prison that you create for yourself, that is divine work that you're doing. So bravo. The King of Cups being this obstacle in healing this anxiety, or the obstacle in moving from this place of anxiety to your dream come true. we see the Knight of Cups there too, playing into the King of Cups, which is great because it tells me that King of Cups, again, you don't need to, I think I said this a little bit earlier, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to have all the answers necessarily about the King of Cups, meaning about your feelings, you know, judging your feelings perfectly, being able to apply the most rational mind to your feelings. That's the goal. But the way there, the journey there, and I'll say this again, the way there is through forgiveness. Forgiveness is a step in becoming better at judging your feelings in this way. And I don't mean being judgy, but I just mean analyzing them appropriately. Meaning that mistakes are built into the process. There will be many times that you make mistakes in judging your feelings, meaning you will misjudge, you will misanalyze things that your feelings are trying to tell you, especially if this is a new skill that you're trying to cultivate. And Knight of Cups is a student energy. This is applying the energy of a student towards your emotional world, your inner emotional world, towards your feelings, looking at those feelings with a curious eye, with a curiosity, which will ultimately help you then judge it appropriately, because you can't be curious and judge something at the same exact time. It has to be one or the other. And if you're going straight to judgment, then you're likely reacting as opposed to consciously acting, meaning you are likely defaulting to conditioned thinking, conditioned instinct, conditioned responses, as opposed to being curious first, and which opens the door to all possibilities, takes you out of yourself a little bit, makes it a little less personal, and clears your mind in a way that then allows you to more consciously act in the moment, more consciously analyze the feeling that's coming up. This is beautiful, pile one. I love to see this just because it tells me that the biggest work, the most work that you have between you and your dream, the biggest obstacle you have between you and your dream is within yourself. What a wonderful message, because what's in yourself, you have complete control over. If we had obstacles here that were the Wheel of Fortune was here, or something, destiny, you know, something completely out of your control, another person, circumstances that you can't affect at this time, that might be a harder message to receive, you know, when it comes to achieving that dream. The fact that this is all so ultra personal, it's so focused on your inner world, should be very empowering, because your inner world is the only world you have control over. So have at it. I am rooting for you, pile one, as always. I love you very much. Please comment below, share with me what is going on in that inner world of yours, and what came up for you in this reading. I love to hear from you. I love you very much. Please subscribe, please like if you haven't, and come back again soon. Hello, those of you who chose deck number 2, pile 2. Welcome to your reading about your hopes, dreams, goals, wishes, and the fulfillment of them. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides, calling in your higher power, the higher power of every star in this beautiful star cluster gathered here in this timeless space. Okay, so pile 2, starting with the Knight of Swords. So where you are right now, You are on a mission. You are on a dream achieving mission right now, and you're in action. You are actively moving towards that dream. You're taking action. Many of you have this sense of duty when it comes to wish fulfillment, towards achieving this thing, accomplishing. I think many of you are, I'm hearing like type A personalities, really going above and beyond, overachieving, taking action. Once you set your eyes on something, you move towards it. And you are definitely in that place right now. I want to say some of you possibly to a fault, though this is not in reverse. But if there's anything to be wary of in this place, it's just that sometimes there's too much action and not enough pausing, not enough time to pause, regroup, and analyze, think about things. It's kind of just like making very swift judgments and acting on those swift judgments. But if those swift judgments are wrong, which all our judgment is wrong sometimes, then it can sometimes make the journey a little bit more difficult because you've raced down a certain path. Page of Wands just flew out as well. Biggest obstacle here as you move towards this dream is oh, this is so interesting. It's oh, okay, this message might be a little, bear with me. Night energy it almost has to be very know-it-all energy, because there is such a sense of adventure, mission, purpose, duty when it comes to night energy that you kind of have to know what you're doing or feel like you know exactly what you're doing in order to be moving at this kind of pace. Your obstacle here, page energy, student energy, the thing that's standing between you and your dream, perhaps something that is, or really the lack of it, maybe standing between you and your dream, is the lack of curiosity, the lack of being able or open to learning as you move along this journey. I think it's really easy to just think we know everything. When we know what we want, we know where we want to be, and we kind of almost like plan the whole journey before we even are there, because we think we have to in order to guarantee that we will get there. When in fact, all we really need to know is the destination. If we get too attached to the journey and how we get there, and we have all the answers for that, we are not necessarily doing ourselves a favor, because we might, well, I'll just say we're not always right. We're not always right. Sometimes we're right about a lot, but we're wrong too. And it's great to have a blueprint to act on, because that allows us to act. Not because it's getting us closer to a destination necessarily, but because it allows us to interact with our environment in a way that educates us. So the more we're out and we're doing things, the more we're learning, the more information we're getting. Even if that information is, whoa, this path that I've gone down is not the right path. That is educating me. I'm learning something from that, that actually I need to step back and I need to rewrite this blueprint right now. And maybe I'll have to rewrite the blueprint many more times. Don't be so attached to a certain path to get to your destination. The attachment to your destination is enough. The goal that you have in mind, especially if it's a specific goal, if you're very specific about that goal and how that looks, even more reason to allow the journey towards it to be completely open, to allow yourself to be a student, a sponge in learning how to get there. because the journey might surprise you. I have to talk about higher power here, and I don't know what your relationship with higher power is, but the message I'm getting very strongly here is that higher power will always know our best interest. Higher power always knows our best interest, and we don't always know what higher power knows. Sometimes we do. Oftentimes we don't. And so we need to allow space for higher power to co-create with us. And that's where it's important for us to be a student. It's important for us to be curious. It's important for us to pay attention to signs and not just have and stimuli, to pay attention to what's happening in response to the action that we're taking, and not just have tunnel vision on our goal, on one single path, to the degree that it actually limits us, slows us down, delays us, even maybe completely stops us in our tracks. I can tell you aren't the type of person who wants to be stopped in your tracks. You want to be moving. That helps you feel productive. That helps you feel like you're getting somewhere and you're doing something. And to allow yourself to be that way, open-mindedness, curiosity, admitting what you don't know is a very important part of that journey. It will only get you to your dream that much faster. Let's give us, okay, whoa. And the advice is Queen of Pentacles and another page card. Fascinating, pile two. So yeah, we definitely, page energy is a big theme here. Student energy, childlike wonder, childlike curiosity. And it's as important for you to feel that about your own inner world, your feelings about everything, as it is about your mission, your purpose, your desires, your interest, what lights your fire. Curiosity about both is very, very important for you, pile two. Pay attention to both of those things. You don't know everything that your feelings mean, the same way that you don't know everything about your interests, what you're interested in, and what lights your fire, and your desire, and what that means for you. Page of Cups is really getting curious about your inner world, really getting curious about your feelings, about your emotional landscape. It doesn't mean looking in and making judgments. It means looking in and asking questions. And that's really the guidance for you. It's paired with the Queen of Pentacles. This goes hand in hand for you with trusting yourself, with giving you the resources and the ability, the independence to accomplish something on your own, to really take this dream into your own hands and be like, great, I'm going to make this happen, and I trust myself to make this happen. Right now, it's interesting. There's that trust may not go as deep as you think it goes. That self-trust and that self-reliance and that independence. It's also really interesting because I think it's easy to pit learning, admitting what we don't know, being a student, against trusting yourself. Like, it's easy to think, well, if I'm going to trust myself, I have to know everything. And that's simply not the case. Trusting yourself means trusting yourself to admit when you don't know something. Trusting yourself to learn something when it's up to you to learn it. Trusting yourself to ask questions when you need to ask questions. Trusting yourself to have an open mind when it's important for you to be receiving as opposed to giving. There's more work to be done in this area of self-trust and self-reliance. And that largely has to do with you getting curious about your inner world. And that is the biggest piece of guidance for you when it comes to achieving your dream. I almost think that some of you I'm hearing, you're so focused on action that there isn't space to be curious about this. There isn't space to be, to feel this kind of strength within yourself. It's almost like, I gotta distract myself. A lot of this Knight of Swords action is just like move for the sake of moving. be meeting people because I might need them. It's very conditions focused, this kind of action, for some of you, what I'm hearing. Especially just seeing this as the advice is like saying, trust yourself to be able to take breaks. Trust yourself to be able to know when to pause and to stop. Trust yourself to be still. Trust yourself enough to be still when it's time to be still. And know that that doesn't mean anything about the journey, about your ability, about what you deserve, about your worthiness, about your value, about your timing. Literally means nothing about your timing. I think some of you are racing towards a finish line, and you're not even sure if you're on the right path, obviously, but you're like, this is the path I decided on, because you think that you're racing the clock. Time's not linear. It is not linear. Those of you who need to hear it today, it is not linear. That flew out. 6 of Swords. Yeah, some of you are racing away from an old world, an old version of yourself, to the point that it almost feels like you're escaping something. You're trying to escape something. You have your eyes on this new world, which is beautiful, but it has to be... Oh, this is really interesting. I think some of you have gone through a very personal transition that is now put you in this place of action. It's put you in this place of, I want to get out there and swing my sword. I want to slay a dragon now. That's coinciding with some sort of rite of passage you've been through, deep personal transition, a change in your mindset and how you've been speaking to yourself, which is wonderful. Great job. Old words don't hold you down anymore. They're not sinking your ship. They're not baggage that you're taking around with you. That isn't necessarily a reason to swing to the other side of the pendulum and just start going willy-nilly, and acting again for the sake of action. But it also makes sense that you would feel this way now, because if you've been in a place of oppression before, or suppression before, if you've been in a place of imprisonment before, of course, what's on the other side of that is to experience a desperation, really, to experience the opposite. So some of you are in that place, and that explains that action. Others of you, this is more of like, this action it's almost escapist action. It's action for the sake of action, because you're just trying to escape what you are in or what you've been in. And it's more like you are running, just sprinting towards a destination that you're either unclear about, or you're not really paying attention to the journey. You're not getting curious about the journey. You're not curious about the destination, because you're more focused actually on escaping the past than you are about the present moment and about the future. And that's not necessarily the best place to be coming from when it comes to achieving goals. Makes me want to ask some of you, is this dream even something that you really want? What does this dream mean for you? Is the dream itself rooted and inspired by fear from your past? Is it inspired by pain from your past? Or are you approaching it truly from a place of love? Would you be approaching this? Would you be wanting this, pursuing it, regardless of what those past painful experiences were? And if so, then great. That's very much aligned then with your purpose regardless. If not, if it feels like this dream you're desperate to achieve, out of the fear of not having it, that's something to look at, pile 2. That's something to get a little bit, again, curious about. It's not necessarily that the dream itself, throw it out the window. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it could mean that that dream needs tweaking. That dream just needs to be tinkered with a little bit.
And maybe for others of you, actually it isn't your dream and it's someone else's dream, or it's your shadow's dream. Um, in which case I ask you, if you were fearless, what dream would you be pursuing? If you had no fear, if you knew that you would be safe no matter what, if you knew that you would be happy no matter what, that you're not depending on a dream to make you happy, then what dream would you be pursuing? Give us one more card, Spirit. Just one more card. Okay, that was not one, but I'll take them. So, King of Wands. Wow, 2 wands. So interesting. Pile 2. Biggest obstacle, both in the realm of wands, both in the realm of purpose and soul mission and your spirit and your fire and your desire. How is your desire an obstacle towards your dream right now? Is it maybe because what you desire is not actually aligned with that dream? For some of you, that's just coming through. Others of you, that wasn't resonant. Please let that belong to other members of this constellation. But this just tells me that in order to really be standing in your authority, to really rule over your own desires, to own your soul purpose, your mission, curiosity is a big part of that. There needs to be a curiosity before you get there. Some of you, I think, are just jumping, thinking that you already have this King of Wands authority over your desires. You already have this King of Wands. You're already in control. You're already you're giving yourself so much power right now. Which I think we think it's going to help us, but really it's a burden. It's a burden to make ourselves responsible for everything. It's a burden to tell ourselves that we know everything. We limit ourselves by doing that, and that is the obstacle here. I'm almost seeing these two as facing off. It's the part of you that really is like, I know exactly what I want. I'm in charge of it all. I've got it all handled. And then the part of you that is like, I'm still learning, and I'm a student, and I want to be curious about that fire in me. What do I have to learn on this journey? What do I have to learn in this situation? Okay, these also came out. I just want to... Wheel of Fortune, 7 of Swords, and Queen of Swords. The timing of this rite of passage, of this personal transition, and of this feeling of purpose and duty and sense of adventure is very much right on time for you. The dark things that we discussed about these 2 cards, don't make that reason to shame yourself or feel guilty. You're there for a reason. Wheel of Fortune tells us that. Wheel of Fortune tells us that is a part of your destiny. This is a part of your destined path. The wheel turned 180 degrees and now it's coming 360. Like, this is karmic for you. This is karmic for you. This personal transition, especially if you were leaving a situation or have left a situation that was incredibly limiting, and now you're on the other side of that pendulum and you're feeling the need for action. That is karmic. This is all happening right on time. And that's a doozy. 7 of Swords there. The biggest obstacle here, this is really interesting, pile 2, is seeing the fight for power between the Page of Wands in you and the King of Wands in you, the student and the master. There's such an opportunity for self-betrayal there. There's such an opportunity for betrayal there. There's also what I'm seeing, some of you feeling a sense of imposter syndrome. That really comes out when you are in this King of Wands know-it-all place, this place of like, I got it all planned out. I know exactly what I want, and nothing is going to take me off my path. Not even my own heart, not even my own spirit. I'm on the path. I decided on the path. I know this is the path. Those of you who are, when you're in that place, or if you're always in that place, there's also a sense of imposter syndrome that might go along with that. So it really is this fine line between standing by yourself when you do know what you know and not telling yourself you don't deserve to be there, but then also having the grace and forgiveness for yourself when you're not, when you don't know what you don't know, and when you're able to embrace that. And that's allowed. You're allowed to be there too. I think it's devoting yourself to either of these extremes, and only to these extremes, that ultimately betray who you really are, because you're neither extreme, pile 2. You are an ocean, and there is an ebb and a flow. The tide comes in, the tide goes out, depending on your conditions, depending on where you are in your day, in your life, with other people, like what is happening. You ebb and flow between these constantly, and you don't, be careful not to betray yourself because you think you need to be one or the other. The obstacle is deceit. That's so interesting, seeing these cards as deceit, but that is the obstacle for you towards your dream. It's deceit, but it's a self-deceit. Thinking one way is the only way, thinking you have to do something, talking yourself, like saying, I know, I want this when you don't really want it, or I know this when I don't really know it. Like, that's the deceit that I'm seeing. It's a deceit regarding desire for you, and regarding what lights your fire. So really get honest with yourself about that. Again, get curious about that inner world, so that you can actually trust yourself moving forward. If you feel a lack of self-trust, it's likely because of this that's here in your obstacle column. Queen of Swords being in the advice, no surprise there. Whatever this thing that you've left behind, this pain that you've left behind, the baggage that you were carrying with yourself, that has set you up to be so on the offense as this Knight of Swords. The advice here is to transmute that pain as best as you can into wisdom. This isn't something that you want to make into a negative story to tell yourself over and over again, to shape your present moment and to shape your future. The Queen of Swords, more than any other card in tarot, has a superpower in transmuting past pain, past experiences, learning from them, still learning from them, but not limiting, not using them to limit what is possible in her future. She still invites life to come at her, to come forth. She's still radiant. She's still light. She's serious about life, and she's able to laugh too, but she's not playing a victim. She's not crying. She's not so focused on the past that she's looking over her shoulder. She's looking forward. And I think that you are already doing this with the Six of Swords here in your present state. But this is a nice reminder that how you speak about this situation to yourself is crucial. Do you tell yourself a story that is empowering? Or do you tell yourself a story that makes yourself out to be a victim or limited? That's all for you, pile 2. I love you very much. Please tell me in the comments what came up for you in this reading. I love to hear from you. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next month. Hello, those of you who chose pile 3, deck number 3, this beautiful geometric star. This is from the New Chapter Tarot. Take a moment and call in your guides, calling in higher power for every star in this divinely assembled constellation today. Okay. Ace of Discs, which is, this is Ace of Pentacles. So right now, some of you are actually in a position, this is a snapshot of your present moment, where a door just opened for you, or it's about to open for you, if it hasn't quite yet. But there is a real opportunity that will get you closer to your dream, that is in the process of coming to you if it hasn't quite yet, or it is already there, and it might be something that you haven't even clocked as being an important resource. But Ace of Discs, this is a new beginning in resources, a new beginning in tangible steps, tangible aid that helps you, that can help you immensely, especially in getting the ball rolling. Some sort of new beginning, some sort of new step towards your dream. And maybe it's because the dream that you have right now is new itself. For others of you, it could just be that your approach is different. And this is a new doorway that is opening, that maybe you didn't expect to open. It's something that kind of fell in your lap, that came to you from higher power, from spirit, and also as a result of potentially hard work. And you have a real opportunity right now. You're in the midst of a real opportunity. So that's super exciting. Congratulations on that, pile 3. Give me a couple more cards, Spirit. Couple more cards, please. Six of Swords, pile 3. The biggest obstacle towards, the biggest obstacle in your path between this new opportunity and the actual fulfillment of this wish, of this dream that you have, is a necessary but painful change that I'm guessing needs to happen, because it's an obstacle. So it's maybe something that hasn't happened yet. Spirit's already correcting me. For some of you, this is something, a painful but necessary change that needs to happen, that's in your path, in front of you. But it is necessary after some hard truth that you have come to terms with, that you are coming to terms with, you have clarity on, and you need to make a move. It's time to take action that matches the knowing that you have. Allow action to reflect the thought, the outer world to reflect the inner world. It's almost like the biggest obstacle for some of you is escaping an old reality that just isn't true for you anymore. It isn't right. And I'm hearing for some of you, there's pressure because you feel like that old identity defined you. Oh wow, I didn't even mean to say identity. I meant that old reality defined you in some way. That old reality kept you, it was like a home in some way. It was there are other people in that reality, and you feel like this reality you need to be loyal to in some way, even though it really isn't your reality anymore because of some truth that has made itself known to you. I often think of the Six of Swords as the refugee card, like escaping from an old reality, escaping from an old world, and heading to a new one. Really starting, like heading to a new land, and going through such a transition in order to make that new reality, that new life, real. This is the biggest obstacle for you towards your dream. For others of you, if you don't know what this necessary but painful change is, it's likely that this is something that has already happened for you. This obstacle is an obstacle that has no place in your path forward because it's from your past, and yet for whatever reason you're keeping it alive in your way forward. You are giving it life by giving it your focus, by giving it your attention. When the truth is that this is something that happened to you, or happened for you. It did happen for you. It happened for you to transform you, and to then ultimately be left behind where it belongs, to be left in the past. The thing is that sometimes when we go through things that do transform us, our ego immediately clings to them, and we start identifying ourselves by that transformative thing instead of just focusing on the transformation that we're left with. We really cling to the story of what happened and the circumstances of what happened and the people involved, almost like obsessive compulsively. There are some of you that have this personal transition that really was a gift for you in many ways. It's something that forced you to grow into a new version of yourself. It forced you to start over in a new reality, a new land. And it served its purpose. And what this is calling for you now is to recognize it for what it was in your past, to take the gift of transformation with you without taking the baggage of it all with you. The baggage is not necessary, and it's not meant to be taken. It was meant to be left in the moment of the happening. Yeah, and I'm also hearing that for some of you, the reason why this is painful, the reason why it's painful, will be painful either in the future, or why the past event was painful, is because that there are assumptions that you had that were tested or will be tested and failed, or may fail, will likely fail, and your higher self already senses the failure of those assumptions. Amazing how our ego really is so linked to our thoughts and beliefs that if we are proven wrong in some way intellectually, it's almost as if the ego itself is dying, because the ego links so strongly to our beliefs and to our words and to what we say is true about ourselves and about the world. So if we're proven wrong, even if we're proven wrong in a way that frees us or puts us in a more empowering position or a more loving lens, we resist it if it means that it's going to shake up what the ego knows. So this is the biggest obstacle in your way, between you and the dream coming true. How do you deal with this? How do you move through this obstacle? Higher power, please give us some guidance here. Oh, flipped right into the deck. Oh my goodness. So, King of Discs, Pentacles again, and Death. Wow. Whew. The advice here is really interesting. Something about this obstacle, this about embracing the new reality, leaving the old reality behind. A big piece of that, of defeating that obstacle, moving through that obstacle, lies in giving up your resistance to I'm seeing this as a version of yourself, and it's the version of yourself that is, oh, that is not the version of yourself that is financially dependent, that is struggling. I'm almost hearing like the struggling, like, you know how people have like a pride in being a struggling artist? Identifying so strongly with the part of yourself that is deep in the hole. The part of yourself that is powerless when it comes to resources, money, finances, worldly power, worldly material success. Maybe the part of you that isn't business savvy, and proudly not business savvy, for some of you. The king upright is steadfast and stubborn, and also doesn't take risks and is able to really think about things from such a grounded place, so grounded that he's in the earth, you know, it's on this tortoise as well, like most slow moving animal, slow moving, thoughtful, really someone who checks all their boxes and makes sure all their ducks are in a row before risking anything in life. And we see this in reverse. We see this to a fault. So if the first thing wasn't resonant, if you don't identify with that dependent part of yourself, the part of yourself that's like, I actually will never have this kind of power. I can't be this I can't be rich. Like, I'm not a rich person. I'm not an abundant person, a materially successful, wealthy person. For some of you, that's this, and it's saying, stop resisting. Stop resisting changing this situation. This resistance to reversing, turning back upright, this king of discs is what's in your way, and it's what's at the root of this painful but necessary change. But if that's, maybe you are someone who actually does identify as quite rich, quite abundant, able to completely take care of yourself, proudly, materially, financially independent. If that's true for you, then it's more likely the shadow side of the king, someone who is not a risk taker to a fault, someone who is steadfast to a fault, to the point where it is so stubborn that it's limiting, someone who really has to make sure conditions, circumstances, things in their outer world are so perfect before they take a step, that it leads to such slow, painstakingly slow steps forward, steps of progress. There's a time and a place for that, but for whatever reason, this is not the time or place for it. There is such resistance to surrender in that approach. And with the death card in reverse, I mean, it's similar really to this knowing a painful but necessary change is in order, or you know, did happen for some of you. The death card in reverse just tells us that you're resisting a change that you know is coming, that you know to be right. It's holding on to some old false sense of self, which is this king of discs in reverse, this sense of self, old beliefs about you and about who you are and maybe what you're capable of that are really holding you back. Your understanding of yourself is ready to be reborn. It's ready to evolve. There is a new you being born, but it can't be born until the old you dies. And this resistance to the inevitable death of this outdated version of you is a key in moving through this obstacle. It's the key advice in moving through this obstacle and really making the most of this Ace of Discs, whatever this new opportunity is, whatever this doorway opening is. Whoa, the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man with the Ace of Discs. Wow. This is fascinating because this tells me that this Ace of Discs moment that you're in is not something that you need to... Oh, wow. This Ace of Discs moment is going to really require patience, a little bit of sacrifice. Interesting, though, that the patience is not because of you moving so slow. You know, this still is encouraging you to give up the part of yourself that is so stubborn and steadfast to a fault that it makes you wary of all risk taking. You know, you can afford, the new you can afford to take some risk, and maybe the risk is on this Ace of Discs opportunity. And it's not going to necessarily be instant gratification. And the lack of instant gratification doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong, or that you've done something wrong, or that you should have been more careful about the risk that you took, or not taken the risk at all, or, you know, gone through the more traditional channels of achieving something or progressing than taking this risk in some way. Rather, the Hanged Man just tells us that there's a natural waiting time with this opportunity, and it isn't about what you are or not doing. Instead, it's more about maintaining the right mindset in the time when your hands are tied, in the areas of your life that you do not have control over. This card really just invites you to, let's take a closer look at it. This card really invites you to deepen your understanding and understand that the outer limits of your understanding regarding this opportunity, regarding this new beginning, new potential, brand new potential, your understanding of that has been reached. The limits of that have been reached. So you are on the cusp of a new reality. Oh, this really just so supports this resistance to death, because it's almost like this purgatory. It's like this in-between state of resisting dying, but knowing that there's a new you being born, and you're stuck in this liminal space. And that's where the waiting comes into play. That's where this incubation time comes into play. You're on the cusp of a new reality, but you can't force it. All you can do is surrender to the inevitable death, the inevitable ending of this old version of self. Even if you don't know what the new beginning looks like, this is all coming clear. Some of you, I think, are resisting this because you don't know what's next, because you don't have this clear vision of yourself, of the new version of you. And so it makes you anxious. You'd rather just resist the transformation altogether than to surrender to the transformation without knowing what you're going to become. The Hanged Man tells us that still, the advice is still to surrender to the transformation, but then embrace the waiting that follows. Embrace the time between lives that follows. That's a natural step in the progression of being reborn. It's the time when you are nobody, the time when the old you has died before the new you is born, before the new you is you. And you'll be waiting for this new reality to present itself. And it's very much linked to this new opportunity, to this new door opening. And it might be that your understanding has to grow to a certain point before you understand what you do with this new opportunity. You might not know what to do with this yet. You might not even be able to recognize it as a resource yet because your understanding has not caught up to this. This waiting period is not just waiting with no point. It's an incubation period for the sake of enlightenment. And that comes during this time when you are nobody, when you are in between lives, in between versions. You've gotten rid of the old system, but you're still waiting for the upgrade. That is when this enlightenment is downloaded for you. So embrace that waiting time. Let's get one more card, Spirit. One more card for pile 3. Thank you. Oh, the sun in reverse. Whew, so this necessary but painful change is so keeping you from your happiness. It's keeping you from, first of all, you're not seeing it in the light. You're seeing it from a place of shadow, through a lens of shadow, which tells me it's not the truth. So whether this is a painful but necessary change that happened in your past or it's one that's happening in your future, your vision is obscured because you're seeing it not in daylight. You're seeing shadow. You're seeing, things look scarier in the dark. Shadows distort the truth. So understand that you're seeing this through the lens of fear, and that's part of the reason why it's even an obstacle in the first place. It doesn't need to be the obstacle that it is. So much of it is about how you are seeing it, and it's not in the light of day. We don't have the sun up right here. The sun is reversed. It's backwards. There is a lack of clarity. You don't really see the truth of what the Six of Swords is, which is that it's your liberator. You're seeing it as the obstacle when really it's your liberator. It's your savior. It's help along the way towards on this journey towards your dream. I love this message for you, pile 3. This is like truly making me buzz with excitement, and such a beautiful, beautiful message. The other interpretation of the sun being in reverse here is tells me that there's like a lack of joy, energy, and enthusiasm specifically about this painful but necessary change, which makes sense because it's painful. It's built-in painful, and it's necessary. The lack of joy, though, and the lack of your ability to see maybe the silver lining of it is only compounding the challenge of it. So think about that and see if there's a way that we can reverse this sun back upright so that you can see this painful but necessary change through the lens of joy, through the lens of happiness, of knowing that this is all happening in the light of the sun. This is all happening in daylight. Like, there is something so honest and transparent and truthful about it that it, even if it's painful, the transparency and the truth in it, there can be a joy in that too. And that might help you move through it a little more easily. Wow, pile 3, I'm so excited for you. Please comment below and let me know what this is about for you. I really am so curious, and I love to connect with you. I love connecting with you in any way. So definitely open up if you feel called to. Please like and subscribe this video if you haven't yet. like this video, like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. And I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you always, Pile 3. I'm so grateful you're a part of this community. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Hello, Pile 4. You chose this gorgeous star. Oh, I love this deck so much. This is the Moon Power deck. It's very alien, mystical, magical, otherworldly. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides, Pile 4. Calling in your higher power of every star in this beautiful deck 4 constellation. We're looking at the dreams, the hopes, the wishes, and the fulfillment of them for Pile 4. Whoa. Okay. Wow, that was quick. So we have the Queen of Wands, we have the Page of Wands, and we have the Ace of Pentacles. Beautiful. So Pile 4, oh, I love to see this Queen of Wands in your present moment. There's such authority over your desires right now. You're in a position where you do really know what you want, and your heart and your brain are very aligned in serving your soul purpose and mission. It's almost like they're working on autopilot to serve your desire, because when we act from that place of flow, that place of soul purpose, mission, just feeling aligned, it's easy. Like, dealing with thoughts and feelings truly become easy when we're in that place. Isn't it funny how that happens? It's like a switch is flipped, and that's kind of what I'm seeing for you, for where you are right now in this journey towards what you want. You're also in a place of like incredible creativity. The Queen of Wands, it's the purest form of this suit. A fire is often the queen, and you know, you're not bound by duty to others as the king is. You're really, but you're still powerful enough to be able to do whatever you want when it comes to your fire and what lights your fire. You're in an incredible position. I'm just going to start with that. You're in an incredible position right now towards getting what you want. Page of Wands being in your obstacle is really interesting, because that tells me that what you are struggling right now with is learning new information. The student in you, being open-minded, admitting when you're wrong. Very opposite energy. It's funny, there was another deck in this reading that had a similar issue here, with a king and a page, but very similar. You're in such a strong place of knowing what you want that the obstacle is being able to admit when you don't know. Like, it's almost like that is what I want to say, actually, is that this isn't really an obstacle. That's really what's coming through for me right now, Pile 4, is this is not even, you think it is an obstacle to not know. You think it's an obstacle to have to be open to other possibilities when you're so certain about what it is that you want. You're so certain about your path there. But this doesn't have to be the obstacle that you think it is. You don't need to have all the answers in order to get there. It's wonderful that you have this kind of confidence and that you're in this place of authority. It's wonderful to start from that place. But don't let being in that place lose the student part of you, to lose the curious part of you, or the open-minded part of you, the part of you that's like, Okay, yes, I was 100% sure what I wanted, but now maybe that's changing and I want to just be open to that. I just want to listen to that. I want to see where my desire leads me because it's still a journey of discovery and exploration. You're not looking at a blueprint of your life in front of you. You're decoding a treasure map. So, with a treasure map, it's like we have some idea of where we're headed, but there's still room for surprise. There's still room for discovery. There's still room for unknown, uncertainty to play into that journey. And in a way, it makes finding the treasure all that more exciting than when we are building a blueprint, building something based on a blueprint, and every inch has to be exactly aligned with what is on the page. I'm sure there's something satisfying about that, but is that as fun? Is that as exciting? Is that as expanding and enlightening? No, it isn't. I want to pull more cards on these before I move to advice. Can we get a few more clarifying cards for the Queen of Wands and the Page of Wands, please? Yes, thank you. Okay. Wow, Five of Cups. Fascinating. Let's get another one here. Thank you. Five of Cups. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Pile 4, you have the Page of Wands, you got the King of Wands, you got the Queen of Wands. Wow, talk about dreams. Talk about a spread about dreams and wishes, and see so much desire in one single spread. Give me one more card for advice, please, Spirit. One more card for advice. Thank you. Oh, that was 2, but thank you. Eight of Wands. Love to see that. And then the 10 of Pentacles. Oh, wow. This Queen of Wands paired with the Five of Cups. This authority you have over your desires, it's so emotional for you. This is telling me your present moment. There's also there's an air of grief in there, which is really interesting because I started by saying what a great place you're in with that Queen of Wands, which you are. I didn't expect to see that some of you are in a place of mourning. Some of you are in a place of loss. It could be that this fire that is lit under you has to do with losing something. And the loss of that thing is what has lit the fire under you to move you to action, to move you to creation and put you in this state of flow that you're in with the Queen of Wands. It's amazing how emotion like that can be such a potent fuel when it comes to evolution and progress, personal evolution and personal progress. I think that what's important, wow, I'm yawning, which tells me there's something that has to be released here. I think what's very important, Pile 4, is when it comes to this authority, when it comes to this fire that is lit within you, make sure that it isn't just a distraction from pain, sadness, loss, grief that you're feeling, but rather a way to be working through that pain. There's a difference. You don't want to distract from it, but you want to work with those emotions in a way that is productive and validating and present. And I think there is a way to do that, especially through creativity, through artistry, through being in a state of flow and alignment. No doubt that helps us process loss when things don't go our way necessarily. But yeah, I just want to offer my love to so many of you who are feeling this interesting combination right now of feeling purposeful, of feeling like you're on a mission, and also feeling intense grief and mourning and sadness. That's a tough place to be in. Um, it's almost like I'm hearing for some of you, it's like you really want to, your grief has activated you in some way. The sense of loss has activated you in some way. Some painful event has activated you in some way. It has lit that fire under you, and you feel like you have to be moving right now. You feel like you, more than ever, it has highlighted the importance of your desire, of your purpose, of your mission, which is a really wonderful silver lining of grief. It's one of the beautiful parts of grief and loss, and what they can do for us. In your case, in teaching you about your personal power, about your authority, and about your sense of purpose and pursuit of certain desires. This obstacle, Page of Wands, and then we have the King of Wands in reverse. So interesting to talk about these, and now I'm like looking at these and it just feels like a face off. Your obstacle is not this part of you. Your obstacle is not the part of you that is authoritative and knows what they want and is able to go after it and to move worlds to make that happen. Like, that is a part of you that is not up for debate. The part of you that is in question right now is the ability to admit what you don't know, to be the student again, to be a beginner again in some way. And especially when you've been walking a path for a long time and you're close to that destination, it's so hard to be a beginner again. It's so hard to say, but I've been walking this path for so long, like I should be an expert right now. There's so much I should know. And to say what I don't know, that can't possibly bring me closer to my goal, because it makes me feel like I'm farther away from it than ever. It makes me feel like I'm at the starting line again, like closer to the start line than the finish line, to be in this position of uncertainty and not knowing and learning and open-mindedness and curiosity. But any good master continues to be a student for the rest of their life, even when they are already the master, even when they have already accomplished so much of what they would like to accomplish. That's part of what makes them the master, is their ability to step into a student mindset like that, because it just streamlines their progress so much more. There's no pride in their way, there's no ego in their way. And I'm just seeing that for you, pile 4, as well. The advice, wow, interesting advice, because I see this more as what is in store for you in your future than advice. Which makes me think the advice is to acknowledge what is waiting for you and what is waiting to be manifested for you. It's out there in the vortex, and it's waiting to be brought into your 3D world simply by you deciding to bring it into existence. Ace of Pentacles, we see a new beginning, a new opportunity falling into your lap, a door opening, something very tangible that is new and exciting, and potentially a really powerful resource on your way to this wish fulfillment, to achieving your dream. Something that shifts your vision and it makes you able suddenly to see something that you couldn't see before, that wasn't there before. Amazing. The advice, if we are going to take this as advice, it's like saying, yeah, begin something. Begin the thing that maybe you are resisting beginning, the thing that would put you in a beginner's position, a student position. Begin the thing. Do it. Start. Don't be afraid to start. Starting doesn't mean that suddenly you're further away from the finish line. There are so many times we finish and start and finish and start and finish and start, and it's all progressive towards that ultimate finish line, the thing that we want. So this is just a restart. This is just a restart. It's not going back to square one. It's just a new beginning, a new lease on life, a new lease on your journey and on your path. And it can be just what you need to invigorate you as you move closer to what it is that you want. Very linked to good news, to good news rushing in, positive changes taking effect almost immediately. 8 of Wands, very good news, very good omen, good things happening in store for you. And it's very linked to embracing this new beginning and to starting. It's almost like saying, like, if you're afraid to start because you're afraid to fail, or you're afraid that it's going to set you back in some way, or it's going to put you behind, there's no greater reassurance than to see these 2 cards with this, because it's like saying start, because it is the key to good things coming to you. It is the key to 10 of Pentacles success, achievement by worldly metrics. What we all come into this world saying we want. I want to be rich. I want to be successful. I want to have a beautiful family. I want, all of those indicators that other people can see that make a person quote unquote successful. Like, that is very much linked to this new beginning for you. It's very much linked to starting and not being afraid to start, not being afraid to be a beginner. It's very, they're intimately connected. I think some of you too, this is just one more message that's coming in for some of you, is that this beginning is a big part of healing this. So whatever pain this is, whatever loss, grief this is, part of processing that and moving through that means embracing newness in some way, honoring the ending and embracing the newness in its place. Sometimes we need to take steps to begin. We need to take steps to start something in order to really process an ending. When we avoid starting over, when we avoid a beginning, it's usually because we're still holding on to what came before. And ironically, holding on to the thing is exactly what keeps us from actually processing it in a healthy way. So forward movement, as long as it's not a distraction from pain, but really conscious, present, beginning, starting, conscious writing on this clean slate. All that can do is help serve your processing of this loss, of this grief, or of this failure, whatever this was for you. And there are only good things ahead on the other side. This is so positive, Pile 4. It really makes me excited for you in your journey towards fulfilling this wish, fulfilling this dream. It's very possible for you, and the obstacles will not make or break you. I think that's very clear, that this is in your power completely to make of this what you will. And it's really how you show up to the journey. It's how you show up to the path, and how you walk it. It's in your hands and no one else's. I would love to hear how this looks specifically for you, Pile 4, so please comment below and share if you feel called to. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, share it with loved ones, people who need support right now. That's why I do what I do, and I'm hoping to reach more and more people the more I do this. I love you very much, Pile 4. I'm rooting for you as always. I'll see you next time.